Hello, Chapel family. Pastor Mark here with our daily verse for the day. Today we want to look at Luke 9:22. It comes before the verse we looked at yesterday in Luke 9:23, but I want to set the context today. In Luke 9:22, Jesus is talking to his disciples. He's talking to the 12, and he says, "The Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders and the chief priests and the scribes and be killed, and on the third day be raised." You see, the disciples were not expecting suffering. They were not expecting persecution, and they definitely were not expecting the death of Jesus Christ. You see, he starts off and he talks about the Son of Man. The Son of Man is talked about in the book of Daniel, chapter 7. And the Son of Man is the one that is coming back to establish his kingdom. The Jews viewed that. That was the Messiah. That was the Savior. That was the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords who was going to come back. But the Jews was not expecting suffering, persecution, and death. And they were not expecting a Roman cross. When we think about coming to Christ and following Christ, we're not expecting suffering, we're not expecting persecution, and we're not expecting to die. Now, Jesus, in the following verse that we looked at yesterday in Luke 9:23, he tells us we need to pick up our cross daily. Jesus always had in mind for us as disciples that following him meant we were going to suffer with him and that we might face persecution, but we've got to be willing to die to ourselves. Paul understood this as well. Paul says in Philippians chapter 1, verse 29, "For it has been granted to you that for the sake of Christ, you should not only believe in him, but also suffer for his sake." How do we apply this verse? I think the way we apply it is to understand, at the bare minimum, we need to understand that every day we follow Christ, we need to be willing to die to ourselves. But we also need to be willing to understand that we might have to experience suffering and persecution, especially from the world, when we take a stand for Jesus Christ.